Good afternoon, everyone. I welcome you all on today's session on reversing
obesity and diabetes.
It's reversing obesity and diabetes and correction of diabesity. Diabesity is a word and I should say a collective word of diabetes and obesity. So here with us, Dr. Vibha Gupta, who is MBBS NB and certified diabetologist, and he is a very renowned gynecologist and obesity expert. Also today with us, His Excellency Ambassador from Malta, Mr. Ruben from Malta. He's ambassador in India from Malta. And also my co-moderator, Ms. Vinita Jairath Grover, who is co-founder and editor of Superb, Gurgaon's very own lifestyle and informative magazine, media professional, and certified NLP practitioner and relationship facilitator. Other than that, there are dignified guests from CPWD, also from different professionals, like few are from logistics companies, and we are still waiting for to join some other guests also. And our session is live going on YouTube, so few guests are joined there also. So now I would like to request Dr. Vibha Gupta, ma'am, please you start your presentation or brief about the obesity and diabetes, how and what are the tips you want to give us, and you just please you can start now.
In these COVID times, we have all understood that obesity and diabetes are high risk factors for COVID complications. Now, apart from other factors, nutrition and hormones play a very major role in developing obesity and diabetes. Now, in today's talk, we will be discussing reasons why obesity and diabetes should be corrected. What is obesity? How do we diagnose prediabetes and diabetes? What about our food and nutrition? Insulin and insulin resistance? How to reverse insulin resistance by lifestyle modifications, including diet and exercise, and role of stress in obesity and diabetes. Now, first, let us understand why obesity and diabetes should be corrected. Let us understand their complications. First, we will see what are the complications of obesity. Obesity can make you prone to many diseases like high cholesterol, high blood pressure, and heart disease, liver problems, gallstones, acid reflux, problems related to reproduction and menstruation in females, sleep problems, mood disorders, arthritis, some cancers, and type 2 diabetes mellitus, which is very important. Now, if you have long-standing diabetes, then it can cause heart attacks, paralysis attacks, kidney failure, blindness, and we can have food infections, which may even require the cutting of that food. So I think it is logic that if we reverse obesity and diabetes, these complications can be prevented. Now, let us first understand what is meant by obesity. Obesity is when our BMI is more than 25. What is BMI? BMI is a body mass index. It can be calculated by dividing our weight in kgs by square of the height in meters. It is not very difficult. In today's technology, we can simply calculate it by entering it into a BMI calculator on Google, and we can calculate it. Now, 18 to 25 is normal BMI. 25 to 30 is overweight, and more than 30 is obese. Now, after obesity, let us understand how to diagnose diabetes. Now, diabetes mellitus is of two types, type 1 and type 2 diabetes. Type 1 is genetic and it is due to the deficiency of hormone insulin, and it is not related to obesity. So we will not be discussing type 1 diabetes today. Type 2 diabetes is related to obesity and hormonal imbalances. In today's discussion, we are concerned with this type 2 diabetes only. Now, diabetes can be diagnosed by simple blood test, including fasting and PP sugars and HbA1c. Fasting sugar is taken after 8 to 10 hours of fasting. PP sugar is the blood sugar 2 hours after your meal or 2 hours after 75 grams of glucose. And HbA1c gives the average of last 3 months of sugars indirectly. Normal fasting blood sugar levels are up to 100, PP is up to 140, and HbA1c is up to 5.7. If your fasting blood sugar is 126 or more, your PP is more than 200, or your HbA1c is 6.5 or more, then diabetes is diagnosed. Obesity and diabetes, if they occur together, it is referred to as diabesity. Why is diabesity important? Because this is the group of people in whom there is a very high chance that we can reverse diabetes. Now, if you would have noticed in the previous slide that in the values of sugar of HbA1c and normal and diabetic, there is a gap. That is fasting between 100 and 126, PP between 140 to 200, HbA1c between 5.7 to 6.5. Candidates falling in this range are called pre-diabetics. Now, diagnosing pre-diabetes is very important because number one, pre-diabetics eventually land up in diabetes in few years, and number two, there is a very fair chance to revert back pre-diabetes to non-diabetes. Hence, it is very important that you get your blood sugar checked yearly or more frequently if you are obese or if you have a family history of diabetes. Now, let us understand our nutrients. As we all know that there is a major role of nutrition in obesity and diabetes, it is very important for us that we should understand the nutrition. Nutrition is the food that you eat and the way it affects your health. Food which we eat contains micronutrients and macronutrients. Micronutrients are vitamins and minerals in our food. They are required in small amount and are important for normal functioning of our body. Macronutrients are of three types: carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. First of all, we will discuss carbohydrates. Now, these carbohydrates are chain of glucose which give instant energy to the body. They are present in wide range of food like bread, roti, rice, potato, corn, sugar, fruit, vegetables, and many more. Now, this is the macronutrient which is mainly responsible for our obesity and diabetes. So, we must understand our carbohydrates very well. Not all carbohydrates are bad. We can roughly divide the carbohydrates into three groups. These are refined, simple, and complex. Refined carbohydrates are bad for health and they should be avoided. Simple carbohydrates are okay. They should be consumed in moderation. While complex carbohydrates contain a lot of fiber and they are very good for health and they can be taken into bigger portions. Now, refined carbohydrates are present in all sweet drinks like soft drinks, fruit juices, or anything containing sugar like sweets and chocolates. Foods containing white flour, that is called maida in Hindi, are also refined carbohydrates. White bread, pasta, burgers, pizza, bhatura, and most of our bakery and fast foods fall into this category. Examples of complex carbohydrates are whole grains, vegetables, the vegetables which are grown above the ground, and most of the plant-based whole food fall into this category. Now, in between the refined and complex carbohydrate is the category of simple carbs, which include milk, fruit, vegetables, and the vegetables especially that grow under the ground, and many more. They are okay and should be consumed in moderation. Now, we have to understand that refined carbohydrates are a big culprit in obesity and diabetes. How? This we will discuss shortly. Now, second macronutrients are proteins. They are required to build up our body tissue like muscles, bones, skin, etc. They are also required to repair them. They are found in dairy products like milk, cheese, paneer, curd, etc. Dals, lentils, pulses, and soya are good vegetarian sources of protein. Chicken, fish, etc. are also high sources of protein. Protein should be consumed in an adequate amount to keep our body healthy. Now we come to the third macronutrient of our food, that is fat. Fat is the storage energy of our body. In times when we don't eat, then this fat is used as a source of energy to our body. All fat provide taste and satiety also to our food. Fats can be healthy and unhealthy. Healthy fats are canola oil, olive oil, coconut oil, ghee, butter, etc. Though ghee and butter are saturated fats and they should be consumed in small amounts. Unhealthy fats are mainly included in trans fat categories, which is found in fast food and bakeries. Now, once we have understood our nutrients, let us see how they affect our body. Here, we will mainly discuss refined carbohydrates, who are the main culprit in causing obesity and diabetes. All carbohydrates, when eaten, are converted to simple carbohydrates like glucose and fructose. When glucose is absorbed, to utilize this glucose, our body secretes a hormone called insulin. Insulin helps in moving this glucose from blood to the inside of the cells, where it is used as energy, and extra glucose is converted into fat with the help of insulin. Now, when we eat refined carbohydrates, lots of glucose is suddenly absorbed in blood. In response to large amount of insulin is secreted. Once our cells are loaded with glucose, remaining glucose gets converted into fat. Gradually, if we keep on eating too many refined carbohydrates, over a long period of time, lots of fat accumulate, and that is how we become obese. Now, to understand obesity and diabetes, we have to understand insulin resistance. What is insulin resistance? That we should be very clear. When we consume refined carbohydrates for a long period of time, our cells are continuously loaded with glucose. Our cells stop responding to insulin. And as sugar is still there in the blood, body secretes more insulin to manage this sugar. Now our body is making more amount of insulin for the same amount of glucose. And our insulin level in the blood become higher. Now, as we have already learned that insulin is a storage hormone, we have to go into the body goes into the fat storage mode with high insulin. Now, this is the hormone imbalance theory of obesity. This is called insulin resistance. Now, if this appears very highly technical and scientific, in short, we can remember that insulin is a fat storage hormone which goes up if we consume refined carbohydrates over a long period of time. Now, let us understand why diabetes develops. Now, once ever we keep on consuming these refined carbohydrates, our insulin keeps on going up. Now, once our body keeps on increasing insulin to manage blood sugar, a time comes when finally our body gets exhausted and insulin present in our body cannot manage the carbohydrate we consume. Now, blood sugar levels start rising and we become diabetic. Now, okay, now what? We have become obese, we have become diabetic. What? Should we be depressed? Should we be sitting in the corner of the room and crying? No. We should not. We can reverse this. This is simple. We reverse the imbalance, obesity will be reversed. Depending on the severity of your diabetes, it will also reverse.
Just don't show your shakal. Oh shit.
Can I continue, Rima?
Yes, please.
Okay. Now, depending on the severity of diabetes, it will also reverse. To what extent will it reverse? Depends on many factors. In many cases, it fully recovers after balancing your macronutrients of the food and weight loss. Now, if you are obese, with or without diabetes, or having knee pain, or any heart problem, you must have gone to the doctor and your doctor tells you to reduce weight. Doesn't it sound familiar? Yes. Now you try to eat less, exercise more, you lose few kgs of weight, and again on the same reduced diet, you stop losing weight, or further even start gaining it back. All this sounds very familiar because most of us are facing this problem. It is frustrating. Looks like as if we don't have any willpower. Even we get depressed because of the repeated failures of weight loss. But now the good news is that it is possible to reverse this cycle. We do not require to eat less. We require to bring down the insulin levels. Now this can be done by lifestyle modifications. Now let us see how can we do it. First of all, let us see what is the role of carbohydrates. Now, as the patient is having excess sugar in his body, first and foremost thing is to stop dumping in refined carbohydrates in our body. So it has to be a big no-no to sugars and refined carbohydrates containing foods. It has to be a no to most of the fast food, cold drinks, fruit juices, bakeries, sweets, chocolates, and many more. And once we stop this, what should we increase? We should start consuming lots of complex carbohydrates, which I have already discussed. Plant-based whole food is good. Your plate should have raw salad as well as cooked complex carbohydrates. Sprouts are also good choice. Fruits can also be taken, but choose your fruits which are less sweet and eat less amount of fruits. Now, your food should also have a good amount of protein and some good fat. Don't be scared of fats. They don't make you obese. Refined carbohydrates do make you obese. Now, after we have stopped loading our body with refined carbohydrates, we need to remove the excess glucose and fat from our body. Here comes the role of fasting and exercise. Now, this is called intermittent fasting. Now, fasting is nothing new. All the religions teach us some type of fasting. It is a very simple old art. In intermittent fasting, we divide our 24 hours in one day to two phases. One is a eating window and one is a fasting window. See, normally when we are sleeping, we are already fasting for 8 to 10 hours. Simply, we have to gradually extend this fasting to 12 to 14 hours. Once or twice a week, we can have a little longer fast of 16 to 18 hours in your comfort zone. So easiest is to combine your sleep time fasting with a few extra hours. Now you can follow some pattern. I can give you an example. You can have 5 days a week. You can do 12 hours fast and eat for 12 hours. And remaining 2 days, you can increase your fasting for few hours. For example, 16-8. 16-8 means you will be fasting for 16 hours and you will be eating for 8 hours. But it should be done in your comfort zone. Now, second way to decrease the already existing fat is exercise. Cardio exercises should be done 30 to 45 minutes daily, 4 to 5 times a week. Doing it in fasting gives us better results. Walking, swimming, cycling, you can choose anything. Even in these times of lockdown, YouTube-based cardios have become very popular. You can choose them according to your fitness level. Now, when we exercise, we should not forget strength training exercises. These can be done in gym or simply at home using dumbbells and free weights. Even yoga strengthens your muscle using your own body weight. If you have a good muscle mass, then it in itself utilizes glucose and increases your basal metabolic rate. Remember that though exercises have a significant role, but diet has a much bigger role. Now, in the last but not the least, I will say that stress plays a very important role in obesity and diabetes. Stress increases a hormone called cortisol, which increases blood sugar, hence putting us at greater risk for obesity and diabetes. Also, if we are stressed, we tend to binge eat. And usually the binge eating foods are fast foods. So we get obese and diabetes. This can be corrected by yoga and meditation. Yoga and meditation is a very good way to handle it. And if you are unable to manage your stress, then there is no harm in taking a professional help. I wish you all a very healthy you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Vibha. Thank you for the insightful information. Now, here with us, our ex-ambassador of Argentina, Daniel Chubru also. He has joined from Argentina. I know there is early hours of morning. Thank you, Daniel, for joining us. Now, I would like to request Ambassador Malta, Mr. Raven, His Excellency, please say a few words.
Thank you very, very much for your invitation. It is obesity and diabetes are quite topical subjects in my country, in Malta. Just for a matter of introduction, as Rima has introduced me before, I am the High Commissioner of Malta here in New Delhi, India. So in Malta, which is, as you know, a small island state in the Mediterranean and also a member of the European Union, we have a very, very big problem of obesity, unfortunately. The government is very worried about this, and it is doing its best to help people, to inform people about what to do and not to do to avoid obesity. In fact, we have a lot of seminars in Malta, and even we receive pamphlets, etc., you know, and even emails informing us about the problems that come with obesity and with diabetes. I am aware that both obesity and diabetes have can be a problem if one catches corona, the COVID-19 virus. In fact, very, very recently, unfortunately, we had a Maltese national in India who died of COVID-19, and he was unfortunately a diabetic. And from my little experience in medicine, but from what I am understanding, diabetes unfortunately contributed a lot to his succumbing to COVID-19 disease. I was very, very interested in hearing Dr. Gupta's advice. I myself have also a little bit of a problem at this point with obesity. You know, we say that diplomats, this is one of the risks of being a diplomat. I mean, you have the stress. Dr. Gupta mentioned the stress. In normal times, we have a lot of receptions, etc., where the foods are not always the best, or where the foods are not always falling in the lists provided by Dr. Gupta. So on that, we have to also be careful of what to eat and what not to eat. Once I was hearing a documentary, and a particular person was saying, whatever you eat is what you are or what you will become. And if one loves himself or loves herself enough, the most important thing is to check what to eat, because what you are eating is you. And obviously this is an interesting, let's put it this way, maybe not scientific, but definitely philosophical argument in being careful on what one eats and what one doesn't eat. Unfortunately, as Dr. Gupta mentioned, in today's life, you know, the idea of stress, for instance, stress increases both diabetes and obesity, because usually once stressed out, people tend to eat junk food, food that comes fast. So, you know, that's why they're called fast foods, etc., etc. I believe we've also that these COVID-19 times where people are locked inside or have to stay inside for very long period of times, this has also contributed to obesity, and definitely it has been a problem for people with diabetes. In fact, the Maltese government has made a study about how COVID-19 has in fact affected the Maltese population's obesity, and how the COVID-19 has affected the Maltese population's diabetes. In fact, if I'm not mistaken as well, diabetes, definitely, this happened definitely in Malta. People who have diabetes and were taking insulin via a syringe were given priority in getting the vaccine. Dr. Gupta, of course, can correct my scientific knowledge of this, but apparently also there is a difference in diabetes between people who have diabetes and take insulin via a syringe, or have diabetes and get insulin via pills, which is apparently less problematic than the one with the syringe. And people who were taking insulin via the syringe in Malta were given priority in their vaccination when, you know, in these times of vaccinations of COVID-19. So in fact, I believe that these days, you know, Malta, as you probably heard from the news, has achieved herd immunity. Of course, we're a very, very small population. If you compare to India, we are 500,000. Already 70% of the population has been given at least one shot of vaccination, and 49% have been given 2 shots of vaccination. And diabetics now of all denominations, like you know, insulin from pills or insulin from syringes, etc., etc., have been vaccinated. Obviously, obesity is a problem of lifestyle from the way that I see it, and the way, because first of all, eating is a problem of lifestyle, but also Dr. Gupta mentioned stress. One can mention many other things like lack of exercise, for instance. If you're anchored, as we say, in front of a laptop or in front of your mobile for a very, ironically, mobile makes people immobile. It's a problem, isn't it? Mobile making people less mobile. Because you carry it with you all the time, so you don't need to move. So, as we were saying, it's a question of lifestyle. In the case of my country, Malta, you know, people used to like to walk and get, but also, for instance, a lot of people loved cars. And being driven by cars. So, and there is less, for instance, the government is trying to push the idea of having more bicycles, right, in the streets, and also more places where people can jog, where people can walk and be active. Sometimes it's, you know, obesity is definitely a product of technology, of the modern age. We mentioned mobiles, we can mention cars, we can mention whatever. Anything that makes us less mobile contributes, unfortunately, to this problem. So to conclude, Rima asked me whether I wish to ask a question. My question is, what are to Dr. Gupta, without entering into, you know, specificities, but what are the policies of the Indian government in relation to obesity and diabetes these days? Thank you very much.
At present, our government does not have any policies regarding obesity in India. The only thing is that we all should be conscious ourselves, and we should do it, because still this is upcoming, but means there are no rules that you cannot eat this, you should go for cycling. There is no compulsion, nothing from the government side. Vaccinations and all, they have already vaccinated people who are at higher risk, those who are diabetics, they have been vaccinated first. So for obesity and diabetes, there are no government rules.
Yep. Mr. Daniel Chubru, you want to ask some question? And there are diplomats from Panama also who has joined here.
Hi, Rima.
Hi.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gupta, for your presentation. And well, first of all, let me agree completely with the High Commissioner of Malta. I used to be posted in Delhi, so I can share all his views completely, 100%. So thank you so much for, you shortened my time. So I have not to go back to the same explanation. But one thing that I would like to stress is the idea of having this kind of seminars, because as Dr. Gupta said, there is not such thing as a policy by the government of India. So whatever we can do to let people understand what diabetes is very good. And I can tell it from myself. I'm a diabetic for the last 20-something years. And I believe that at the time I got my diabetes, I was not aware of what was going on. And unfortunately, when I came to know what was going on, it was too late. So now I'm, as Ambassador was saying, now I depend on insulin. So I'm in a stage where it's not just the pills, and my intake of insulin is daily. So I think that the possibility of people knowing, you have to do as much as you can to let people know what insulin, what the problem of diabetes is, or obesity also, and how to control it. So I really felicitate Rima for promoting this kind of webinars, because this allows you to know what's going on. So I think that the diffusion of these, the promotion of these, and I think that the PowerPoint that was shown to us by Dr. Gupta, it's a very good one, and you have to use it to promote these changes in your life that you need to do to cope with both diabetes and obesity. So thank you so much, and I hope that this will help a lot of people to avoid getting in trouble with both ends. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you so much. Now, here with us, Vinita. Vinita Jairath, you must have list of questions based on the participants' feedback.
Absolutely, I have quite a few. A very, very good evening to each one of you, His Excellency Ruben, Mr. Daniel, and Dr. Vibha, who've been absolutely gracious in putting up such a wonderful, all slide and presentation and informative about diabetes. So yes, I've been getting some questions, and interestingly, as we all believe that diabetes is a very, very lifestyle-prone disorder to say. So here is it. The question is it healthy to take artificial sweeteners in place of regular sugar or the food items? Because in the market, we actually have sweeteners wherein they say, okay, don't add sugar to your tea, coffee, milk, but you can add X and X products. So how safe is that? And the other question, Dr. Vibha, to you is, there are some products which clearly mention in the label sugar-free. So does that also mean that if you're having a diabetes, so one can consume those products, or there are some side effects, or should we look into consuming only up till a little moderation and things like that? Or are these all marketing gimmicks? Over to you, Dr. Vibha.
See, artificial sweeteners, if you ask me in long term, they should not be used, because there are 2-3 reasons for that. Number one, they are harmful in long terms. There has been some studies that they can cause Alzheimer's disease, and they may even make you prone to some cancers. So there is a dosage schedule ki you cannot take more than that, and ideally you should not. Ideally you should not take them, and if at all you want, you should take them occasionally only. And second thing is that sometimes there are some studies that they say ki when you take sweeteners and when you taste something sweet on your tongue also, then we get an insulin response. And if insulin response is there, then I think I've told that once you have more of insulin, then you go into the storage mode and you will become obese and diabetic. So for these reasons, sweeteners should not be taken. They are not recommended. But if you are having lots of difficulty that you cannot manage without sugar, then taking sweeteners occasionally is better than taking sugars. Now let us come to your second question, that is label. See, you should read your labels very carefully. Sometimes they contain fructose. Now fructose is like glucose. Fructose is also very harmful. This goes into the liver directly, and from there it gets converted into fat. And here it causes fatty liver and it spoils your lipid profile also. So this corn syrup, fructose, they are all bad. So we should be very careful. We should not be taking them. Now, in case you want to correct your obesity and diabetes, they should be avoided. Otherwise, occasionally they are all right.
So there's another question that's coming up is, it is said that a sudden drop of low blood sugar level is more critical than high blood sugar levels. And how can one actually cope up with the mechanism in a body where the blood sugar levels go down all of a sudden and you are not in the vicinity to look into it?
Okay, that's a nice question. See, number one, you will usually not go into hypoglycemia. That low sugars, I call it hypoglycemia. You don't go into hypoglycemia if you are not on anti-diabetic drugs. Usually that happens with insulin and some drugs which increase your insulin levels. So suppose you take insulin and you don't eat your designated food, then your blood sugar will go low. So you should not allow that, because once you are taking insulin or you are taking your anti-diabetic medicine, which increases insulin, then you should ensure that you take your food after that. Number one is this. And secondly, how do you diagnose clinically hypoglycemia? If you are feeling giddy, you are having perspirations, you are anxious, you are sweaty, you are having palpitations, then you should check your sugar immediately. And if it is below 70, then it means you are having hypoglycemia. Now, if you are in your home setting, your first thing is you should take some sugar. Anything which contains, suppose you don't have anything, you take some biscuits or something. The medical protocol is 15 grams of glucose, but ideally all diabetics should keep glucose at home. But if it is not available, you can simply dissolve 3 to 4 teaspoons of sugar in the water and take it immediately. And after 15 minutes, you check your sugar again. If it is again below that, you have to repeat it. And in the meantime, you should also make arrangements that if it is not getting high, you should reach some hospital. You should take some medical advice. You will need some emergency treatment.
And another one is diabetes in children is rising. So as we understand, it is all because of the lifestyle. And how can one really stop it? Because diabetes, obesity in children, everything is, I think, as we understood from your presentation, Dr. Vibha, it is so connected. So what would you like to really advise the parents these days? Because I think fast food is one of the greatest factor for obesity, and also, as you said, saturated fats and things like that.
No.
So,
see, we should develop healthy habits in our children right from a very, very young age, even to the level at the age of 2 years. You should not give them big packets of chips, biscuits and all that. And have you seen all children in movie halls taking that big packets of popcorns and cold drinks? They should not be encouraged for taking that. Right from the beginning, you should be giving them healthy eating habits. You should put them in sports. See, kids get very bored if they exercise. So it should not always be studies. Chalo bas pad lo. You should always put them in sports. Sports keep your mind and body both active. So that way they will remain good. And you should limit their screen time also, because they get into the habit of being sedentary when they remain in front of screen. And I think in the long term, in government policies, they can encourage all this in schools also. They can inculcate some healthy eating habits and sports, etc. in school. This will help in child obesity. And first of all, parents have to understand. Parents have to understand that we don't have to give them all these things.
I think these are all very, short-term remedies that parents think, okay, the child is now going to disturb us, so just let's give them this and, the quick fixes. So there's another question that's coming up is, does diabetes in any one partner also make conception, the pregnancy difficult?
Yes, this is very important. See, I discussed insulin resistance. So apart from causing obesity and diabetes, insulin resistance also causes PCOD in females. PCOD is polycystic ovarian disease. In this, the patient may have menstrual problems. and those who are in the reproductive age group may have abnormality in the development of the eggs, and that way they will have difficulty in conceiving. So once we reverse this insulin resistance and their obesity, most of them will ovulate. Most of them will ovulate and they will be conceiving.
So there's a particular kind of a treatment that one should go to a gynae if he or she in one of the partners is diabetic, because usually, you know, there has to be a setting in terms of taking all your pre-record medications before you plan to conceive, or it's just normal. How does it go about?
See, if you are diabetic, proper diabetic, then you should consult your doctor first before conceiving, because your blood sugars have to be controlled properly before you conceive. If you conceive when your blood sugars are high, your baby may be abnormal. The baby may have defects. So this is very important. Secondly, if you are not having diabetes, you are only obese, then the only time you need to go to the doctor is if you are unable to conceive or you have got some menstrual irregularities. Next thing is, if you are obese and you conceive, and suppose you are not diabetic, then you are more prone to a disease called gestational diabetes mellitus. Gestational diabetes mellitus is diabetes, a type of diabetes which develops during pregnancy only. It usually comes in pregnancy and goes off in pregnancy. So you have to be very careful to get these patients screened. This should be done at the first antenatal visit, and second time you get it done at the 24 weeks of pregnancy. And you can save the child from lots of complications if you diagnose this and manage this.
That's so really informative, Dr. Vibha. And you know, these are all lifestyle problems, and we just don't connect the dots to understand that how difficult it can be in, you know, the rest of our circle of health. So over to you, Rima. This is what we have. Yes, there is one more for the Indians. I think they would understand consuming methi dana water every day greatly helps in maintaining diabetes. That's a home remedy. What do you have to say about that, Dr. Vibha?
I have got a lot of respect for that. There are a number of studies about that. I think methi has got something which is insulin sensitizer. There are some drugs, some extracts which are insulin sensitizers. So methi dana and its extract sensitizes our body to insulin. So partly it reverses your insulin resistance. And once your insulin resistance is reversed, your diabetes and obesity is reversed. It will not do it fully, but it may help you in that pathway.
Maintaining it. For His Excellency Ruben and Daniel, we are talking about methi. In English, it is fenugreek seeds. So it's like you soak them in water overnight and next morning you drink it. So it is one of the very, very kitchen-made, homemade remedies in India that people follow for this. So that's what we were trying to ask Dr. Vibha, how effective it is. Over to you, Rima.
Yeah, thank you, Vinita. Thank you so much. And thank you, Dr. Vibha. I think His Excellency Ruben said it's a very hot topic and necessary to know about the obesity and diabetes, and should spread awareness about how and what tips we should or what kind of lifestyle we should apply in our daily life to reduce this obesity and diabetes issues. So I would like to, I may expect with His Excellency that we may connect again to promote these kind of webinars in your country or through you also, if you allow, and
Rima, if I may,
to discuss this.
Was touched by when Dr. Gupta mentioned sports for children. Now I can share the story of my daughter. Before we came here, we were posted in Jerusalem. and she used to attend a lot of sports and dancing and you name it. Then unfortunately, Corona started, so the problem started from there, and then we came here and it continued. And I could see that my daughter, who now is 13, and Corona started when she was 12, how her lifestyle was affected in that sense, because she really used to like sports. And the fact that thanks to Corona, we had to stop maybe all her sports. Then we started again last February, I believe. She started going to tennis. She started practicing tennis. And she was also getting concerned about, getting a little bit more chubby and et cetera, et cetera. And unfortunately, once more, when the crisis hit in the end of April, she had to stop. She had to stop again. So I agree totally with Dr. Gupta that for children, most especially, sports is very important. And unfortunately, the situation in which we are in now is really challenging us, especially the children. In wishing, because especially children, they wish to be more active, they wish to participate in sports. My daughter really loved and loves sports, but it's too bad with the current situations that children cannot really practice any form of sport the way we would wish them to. That was my comment. Thank you.
Dr. Vibha, you want to say a few words to conclude?
Say now, like we have a pandemic of COVID, but we are not realizing that we are having a pandemic of obesity and diabetes also. Now, if we don't correct it, we will only be just taking doctor's advice and just correcting our diseases. It is high time that we all reverse it and prevent those who have not had it, especially like you said, children, youngsters and everything. Fast food has become so popular that I just don't know how it will be reversed. I think government will have to take some policies regarding that. Like in UK, if you take a cold drink which contains sugar, is much costlier than the one without sugar. I think some policies from the government side will also have to come. So then that will happen. But and it is really sad because diabetes and obesity is preventable. We should prevent it. And it is reversible also, which we are not doing. Everybody should do it. That is what I will say. Please take care of obesity and diabetes as we have taken care of COVID. That's all.
Vinita, please conclude the session.
It was such a lovely session, and Excellency Ruben, it was so amazing to have your honest feedback about your daughter on the forum. And there would be so many who are actually going through the same situation where children are not really getting a chance to move out. But then, having said that, you have to keep your children occupied. And then what do? They sit in front of the screen. They sit in the front of the screen, especially in India, that fast food thing and all that. So it's like a cycle which is so well connected, and dotted somewhere down. We will have to break that. We'll have to make sure that our children move out and they play more sports, because I've realized one thing: if you are into sport, automatically children get, or anybody who's into sports, get healthier in its mind frame. They start thinking differently. They start understanding what they're eating, and so on and so forth. So I guess, as Dr. Biba also said, that okay, this is a COVID pandemic, but they're already in the diabetes and obesity pandemic, so that can be reversed. That's in our hands. So before the entire younger generation falls into that pit, so it's all that we take charge and we keep doing such amazing awareness workshops And so that, even if we keep hearing it, somewhere down, I realize that it seeps into our system. And more we talk, more we hear. And you rightly said that there has to be some government policies and things like that that can be maintained, because diabetes is to be reversed. It is not to be maintained. It is not a lifestyle that you've had it and you have to live with it. No, it is not like that. Am I right, Dr. Vibha, on that? We can reverse it.
Yes, we can reverse.
So might as well, for us, our health is the first thing, because our life partner is our body, is our health system, where we stay with it. So thank you all so much for joining us in the session. And we look forward to having more sessions in Malta, in Argentina, and wherever. And once things open, we don't mind traveling also. Am I right, doctor?
Yeah. Totally, I agree.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Thank you. Also.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, His Excellency.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Dr. Vibha, and we will definitely continue to we'll do such kind of webinars and informative sessions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Thank you.